closeout process and timeline for the RestoreX Center of Excellence for Louisiana. I am Jessica Hinkle. I am, as of October 2022, the director of the Louisiana Center of Excellence. And I've had the opportunity to meet many of you over the last several months and interact with you. And it's been really fantastic learning more about the really exciting research that you all have been undertaking under this RFP2. And we are hosting this webinar today to review the closeout process and timeline, but also because I thought it would be a good opportunity for some of you to meet some of the newer team members on the LA-COE team. And so showing here on the screen today, we're showing the team members for the LA-COE, and I'm going to allow the team members to introduce themselves as we go through the slides today. Next slide, please. Okay, so what we're showing here on the slide is the overarching timeline for the remainder of RFP2. We have the upcoming meetings and closeout activities shown. First up, we have the State of the Coast LA-COE session, which will be taking place May 31st through June 2nd, 2023. The Louisiana Center of Excellence will be hosting a session during State of the Coast. So we look forward to seeing some of you there and hearing presentations from some of you, but we also hope that those of you who are attending State of the Coast and may not be presenting, that you look for us both at the Water Institute booth at the conference, but also during other sessions as well. Officially, the period of performance for RFP2 projects ends on July 31st, 2023, so in just a couple of months, but that's for projects without a no-cost extension. I will highlight that several of you have received a no-cost extension, which means that the period of performance has been extended till the end of October 31st, 2023. This summer, we will have an all-hands meeting, which will take place on August 1st, 2023. And then for those of you who were able to attend the all-hands meeting last year, we'll have a similar setup where we'll ask for report outs from all of you on your research up to this time. But we'll also be having a poster session where we're going to encourage graduate students who have been funded through this RFP to present as well. And we're hoping to have more interaction this year rather than just presentations as we maybe have had in the past. I'm going to pause for a second because I do see a hand up. John, did you have a question? You may have to unmute yourself.
I do have a question. So we have to be done with the projects completely by July 31st. I have an assistantship where the student will graduate, I guess early August, whenever the graduation is. So if it's a little bit beyond the July 31st, they wouldn't be able to get paid, or should I request an extension for that?
Danielle, I may ask you to speak to that.
So let's see. You have a no-cost extension now. I don't have it back yet. Let me look. Let me pull it up and come back to it. But you would definitely we would have to talk about that, because I know right now we only have the projects ending, even the ones with no cost extensions ending in October. So
October
if they,
31st.
Yeah, so if they, what's not happening until July? The student? They're ending in July?
They'll be graduating. I just, I didn't know if the end of the grant for you meant that we couldn't spend any more money here because they have to get paid till they graduate.
No, you'll have until October 31st to do
Okay.
anything you need to complete.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Great, and thanks, John. We'll follow up with you as well just to confirm that we have the details on that clarified. Okay, so we have sent out invitations for the all hands meeting, which is going to be taking place August 1st, 2023 in Baton Rouge. And you should expect in the next couple of weeks an actual registration email to come through, and we're going to ask everyone to officially register for that all hands meeting so that we can get an official count so that we can use that for catering for the meeting, etc. A couple of additional reminders here is that all projects will have a semi-annual performance report due, their 4th performance report due at the end of August, whether your period of performance is ending on July 31st or if it's ending October 31st. But for those of you whose period of performance is ending on July 31st, you will also have in addition to that performance report number 4, you'll also have a final report due at that time on August 31st. For those of you who have had a no-cost extension approved, your final report will be due 30 days after the closing of your performance period, which would be November 30th, 2023. We're going to go over what will go into that final performance report. Ava will be covering that a little bit later in this webinar. And then Bing-Ching will kind of highlight how we take the information from your performance reports and from your final report and pull that into several different ways of communicating the success of the Louisiana Center of Excellence, including what we call a success metrics tech memo that we put on the LA-COE webpage. One important thing to note, and something I know that I highlighted for many of you when we did our check-in calls over the last month, is that data for your project, of course, does need to be made publicly available. And as part of your award, the data has to be at least submitted to a repository within 1 year of the end of your period of performance. And so Brittany is going to go over a few more details around the data requirements for the COE and for your awards just up next. But then I do want to highlight that this is not the end of the Louisiana Center of Excellence. In fact, we've been working hard on our team to develop what the next RFP3 would look like, and working with CPRA and the Department of Treasury to make sure that we are moving forward to be able to roll that out, hopefully right in January 2024. So there won't be a gap with the end of RFP2 in December 2023. And ideally, we'll be able to get started on the next RFP process in the beginning of next year. So with that, I'm going to now pass it over to our new data manager, Brittany Jensen, to introduce herself and talk a little bit more about the data management requirements.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Jensen. I am new to the Water Institute, and I'm also new to the LA-COE team. So I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you, hopefully, in the next couple months to kind of help you along with the closeout process and any data questions that you have as you're closing out your projects and submitting all of your information at the end of the process. So I'm hoping to kind of help out with that. If you have any questions, my contact information is up here. So that's my email address at the Water Institute. You can also use the LA-COE email, and I'll receive that as well, or I'll see that. So if you have any questions data-wise, don't hesitate to reach out. Go ahead, next slide, sorry. As a reminder, so if you have any questions on best practices for data, so that comes to naming conventions or external repositories, or backup, any kind of questions about backup strategies that you might have, that's all kind of documented. Bing-Ching put this together, I think, last year, and it stands true today. I reviewed it. It's great information and a very easy to read short document. So if you have any questions when it comes to best practices, you can definitely refer to this. You can find the link either in these slides or on the website. And it is available to you as well. Next slide. Also, just as a quick reminder, this list of external repositories is one of those commonly used repositories that we kind of recommend. You can use any external repository, but we do recommend and prefer that you use one that creates a persistent identifier, like a DOI, so that we can track the data sets and documents that you store in those external repositories, which also will come kind of be highlighted when it comes. Bing-Ching will be talking about how we actually like promote the work that you're doing with LA-COE. So that will all kind of tie together and why that's so important and later in this webinar. Anything else, Jessica or Bing-Ching, that you want to add to those repositories that I might have missed? Otherwise, I will hand it to Eva. Okay. Not hearing anything. Eva, take it away.
Thanks, Brittany. Hey, everyone. My name is Eva Windhofer. I'm a coastal wildlife ecologist with the Water Institute and also the coordinator for the Louisiana Center of Excellence. Some of you may have heard from me already over email in the last few months. I will be helping to coordinate meetings and workshops and just the overall operations of the center. And I'm also helping to facilitate this closeout process. And again, there's my email address and information on the screen if anyone wants to get in touch. Next slide. So I'm going to take a few minutes just talking through the final report template and what is expected in that report. So the report itself is going to be broken up into 3 main sections, the first of which is technical activities. At the beginning, you're going to be asked to provide a research summary of your project, which includes your methods, main findings, conclusions, the significance of the research, and any representative tables or figures. In total, we're asking that the summary should be around 5 pages. And then the second part of the technical activities is a bulleted list of suggested applications of your research towards the implementation of the Coastal Master Plan. So this can include things like improvements to planning or engineering and design, or also stakeholder engagement and communications as well. Next slide. The next section is for your deliverables. So first is just a list summarizing your deliverables if they were completed and any comments and research needs addressed, followed by lists of peer-reviewed publications, and then oral presentations and posters, other products such as white papers or outreach activities, data sets and repository information, and mentoring and training information as well. For these deliverables, we are going to request PDF copies of all publications, presentations, and anything else that was generated as an output. And Danielle is going to talk to you all in just a second about where and how you can upload that information into the portal. Next slide. Okay, and then the final section of the report is just the certification and approval. So this is going to ask for your signature and confirmation that all of the information provided is correct and complete to the best of your knowledge. And then this page will also be signed by your TPOC as well as Jessica upon approval. And I will pass to Danielle for the next slides.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this section, in order to receive the final reports, we're going to accept them in the portal, which is the system that you guys have already been using to put in your semi-annual PPRs. So in the system, on the screen is just a test case. It'll be your information. And so you'll be tasked with the final progress report. And so what'll happen, next slide. In this section, you'll be able to make any and all uploads. It will accept any and all formats. I know we asked for PDFs of all of the presentations, publications, all of the documents throughout the various sections of the report template. So you'll upload the completed report template and all of your attachments. You can upload as many attachments as you feel to make your report complete. We will send out a reminder before this is due for most of you, just to kind of remind you that this is there. I'll kind of open it up a little bit earlier for you guys, so you have a lot of time to make all of the uploads and kind of get things situated where you would want in the portal, so you can kind of have some time to work on it for the final report, because there are a lot of uploads and attachments to include in this. So once you guys kind of go through and make your uploads, you'll mark the task as complete, and then I will get a notification, as well as you, that we have received your final report. And I would say thank you. That's it. And I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Danielle and Eva, for walking through the final report template and its submission in LA-COE portal system. The final report template will be also posted on LA-COE webpage very soon. So once it's online, you can also access to the final report template from our website. As you might already know that the final report is one of the most critical components of the closeout process. So the final report will be also made accessible to public through the LA-COE website. So before the report is made accessible to the public, the submitted final report will firstly undergo a review and the revision process. It will be reviewed by both LA-COE and the CPRE team. The purpose of this review is to make sure the final report meets the expectations and accurately reflects your project. And the PI may or may not need to revise or improve the report. It really depends on the comments and the feedbacks from CPRE and LA-COE. Here's an example that I grabbed from our RFP1 webpage. This is a project funded under RFP1, and I think it was completed 2 years ago. And the final report, along with the DOI links of their data, will be released in this way on our webpage. As you have seen here, by submitting a final report that accurately and comprehensively summarize your project and archiving, sharing your data, we are contributing to the broader scientific community. In the meantime, we are demonstrating our commitment to transparency and accountability. So I'm going to move forward to next slide. I would also like to talk about the success metrics of LA-COE program, which are certain criteria that we developed to evaluate the impacts and the success of LA-COE program, as well as the funding projects under each RFP. And this is our success metrics table. It covers the competitive grant process and the research progress. It includes on-time reporting, like the submission of semi-annual PPR and the final report, the request of no-cost extension as well. We totally support the limited no-cost extension if there is a difficult situation like the hurricane delayed field work, but we just need to document how many projects request no-cost extension by the end of RFP. It also covers the research accomplishments, which include the publications and the number of students supported. And the most important one is the outcome of each project, which means how do the research findings assist the implementation of Coastal Master Plan. And this is a snapshot of the success metrics evaluation we have done for RFP1 cycle. We evaluated our own grant process for RFP1 cycle. We also track the data, the publications, the presentations from RFP1 projects. And this tech memo will be available on our webpage very soon. We do this type of evaluation at the end of each RFP. So the RFP2 evaluation is ongoing. We are expecting to release the RFP2 success metrics evaluation maybe sometime in 2024. I'm going to move to next slide. As you have seen here, we also established a Google Scholar account for our grant program. All the publications resulting from the projects funded by LA-COE will be included in this account. By aggregating all of the publications in one place, we're able to track the impact of the publications more effectively. We can monitor the number of citations and other metrics associated with these publications. As you are seeing here, the citation goes up very nicely over the past 2 years. Lastly, I would like to bring up some important reminders. While we're getting close to the end of RFP2, PIs and your team probably will be facing more presentations and publications. Please do the notification of dissemination to LA-COE before you release or submit anything that is relevant to your LA-COE grant. In the meantime, please use the standard language for the acknowledgement in your publication. It's also available on our webpage, where you can easily find it. And lastly, this is an updated version of our LA-COE logo. Please use this updated version if you need it in your presentation. So with that, I will give it back to Jessica.
Great. Thanks so much, Bingjing and everyone. To wrap up, we're just going to pull back up this timeline and leave this on the screen for you all while we welcome any questions. And first off, I do see, John, that you had an additional question in the chat here regarding the use of publications. And that's a really fantastic question and one that we have tackled in the past. And I'll definitely let Bingqing weigh in here as well. But we understand that projects have to be under embargo while the students are preparing their manuscripts for publication. CPRA does ask, though, that their theses or their dissertations be shared with CPRA. With the promise that they will not distribute them outside of CPRA or make them public in any way. And I think if in addition to that, if any sort of data were to be used from the thesis or the dissertation, they would absolutely reach out to you and to your graduate student to ensure that you were comfortable with them doing so before they went ahead and did so. Okay, we have another question here about how to notify us about manuscripts to be submitted to journals. So it's really simple. You can just go ahead and email us at the LA-COE email. Actually, if you can go to the next screen, Bingqing, I think we have it right there. Just there you go. Yeah, just LA-COE, thewaterinstitute.org. You can go ahead and shoot us an email about a manuscript that you have in draft. If you also have abstracts that you're submitting to our conference, for example, we do ask that you submit those to us so that CPRA can review them ahead of time. I can promise you that the review process is very easy and short. Generally, we just forward the abstracts or the manuscript to CPRA and they take a quick look at it and get back to us very quickly with their approval generally. Bingqing, did you have anything to add about the notice of dissemination?
No, it has been great. I think the review process is fairly easy, and CPRA usually get back to us immediately or within a week. It's definitely not a long review process. And please just share with us your manuscript draft through this email account, and we will facilitating this process as soon as possible once we see your email.
We have another great question here about whether the student public defense counts as a presentation that needs 60-day notification. I suspect that's one actually that we haven't asked for in the past. But of course, the CPRA liaison, I'm sure, would love to know if one of your graduate students is presenting their dissertation or their thesis from work that was funded under here, and COE would love to know as well, and if in case we would actually be able to attend if possible. So if you could share that information with us, that would be great, but it doesn't have to be 60 days ahead of time. Okay. Any questions about the final report template that Ava walked us through? Well, as Bingqing said, we're going to go ahead and make that template available for you all. Probably, well, actually before the end of this month, we'll have it available for you. So you'll have it very much ahead of time, so you can begin pulling that information together and preparing. And if you have any follow-up questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're always here and available to answer your questions. And then additionally, want to make sure we reiterate any data management questions you have, that Brittany is available to help answer those. We know that making data publicly available and the process of kind of cleaning the data and going through the process of getting it entered and approved into a repository can take time. So we definitely recommend that you start that process as soon as you are able to. But, and just stay in open communication with us about that process and any challenges you're having, because it may be that we're able to, maybe reach out to one of our colleagues at NCEI or something like that and have follow-up questions if you're having difficulty getting that data submitted. We had another question about the lag and how long after the end of the grant that we can upload publications. So I think from a Center of Excellence perspective, we would say as long as you are willing to continue to report to us, we would love for that to be done, so that we can capture them as part of the success of the program and make sure that information is being shared with CPRA as well, and those lines of communications are staying open. So there's no cap on how long you can share them with us. But of course, having to communicate with us 60 days ahead of time would end at the end of your grant. All right. I want to check in with the COE team and see if there is any additional follow-up you wanted to make sure to highlight.
No, has been great. Just to add on your comments about the publication regarding the last question, and we do track the publications within 1 year after your project completion. You might receive our follow-up emails on your publications regularly within that 1 year, because we do need to do some statistics in our tech memo to show the publications from each project.
And there may even be some additional follow-up that happens even after that 1 year if we happen to see a publication that may have actually looks like it may have come out of work that was funded under RFP, and we would send a follow-up email to confirm if that was the case and if you were okay with us including that as part of the success of the project. All right. Well, I really want to thank you all for joining the webinar today. Once again, please do not hesitate to reach out with any questions you have. We're all available and happy to help answer questions as they come up. And for some of you, we will actually be seeing in just a couple of weeks at the Louisiana co-production workshop in Baton Rouge, and definitely looking forward to meeting you, those of you who are attending in person. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.